this doctor decided to use some forceps type of things. He reaches in there, and he couldn't see where he was putting it, but he put one of the forceps, I mean, in the ears, one on this side and one on this side. Then he starts gently moving, trying to get this 10-pound baby away from its mama, but she didn't want to let go, I guess. I'm sure she was glad to get that little booger out of there. But it messed up my ears. I never had to go to the army or nothing like that, but I went down there to the recruit depot trying to get them to put me in the Navy or the Army or anything because I wanted to go and get my duty in and then come back home for 2 years or whatever it is. Oh, yeah. We would make all kinds of toys of our own. The one I liked was the one you take a Prince Albert tobacco can. You know, you'd see those little skinny. And I didn't know, you don't see one. They didn't even have them when you was born. So you'd bend it a little bit and you nail it onto a stick. And then you have a, what do you call that? That goes around a barrel? Staves, not the staves, but the band that goes around the tubs. Because everything came in wooden tubs. Nails, you buy them by the bucket. I mean wooden tub. And then you just knock the top out, and there's your nails right there. And among other things, hey, I got a hearing aid. Now you can hear me.
No, now you can hear me.
Oh, okay. Put that away while you're going in there, honey, baby. This hearing aid it came along a long time after I was born. I mean, I went to school knowing that I can't hear from the back. So that's where I went. I went back to the back because the teacher's up there yakety yakking and everybody's laughing at what he says or she says or something. I couldn't hear it, so I just tried to make myself, doing whatever I could do. I had another guy that his house burnt down in right there, where Wynn lives, right there at Harbison, where his name was Frank Meadows. So I'm working with him at his house after the fire came along, kind of wiped him out. I'm helping him get back together again. He said, Farrell, every time he'd say something to me, I couldn't hear what he was saying. And he said, Farrell, I'm gonna buy you a hearing aid. Soon as I collect a little bit more money or something like that. But he never did come through with the deal. Had to go quite a ways after that to get a hearing aid. I never got a hearing aid until a friend of mine come along and offered. He says, Farrell, I want to buy you a hearing aid. I said, well, I would appreciate that, but you don't have no business to do that. He said, no, I want to do it. $2,000 he paid for.
Miracle
it wasn't this
ear,
one.
2 of them.
I got, they were what? Miracle ears. And it sounded really terrible, like your head was in a bucket. I finally got rid of them, and they offered to give me $10,000 toward the next set of hearing aids. And I said, well, that sounds good, but it didn't work good, so I'm going to go somewhere else. So I did. I looked at a place called El Cajon Hearing Aid Center. His name is...
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, Mr. Matter. Oh, he tested me real good, electronic, all that jazz, and he says, I don't know if I can help you or not. I'll take this thing home tonight. That's when I do my best work. You get bothered in your shop, but if you go to your own house, you can do. So he come back the next morning with it, and he says, Farrell, come down. I think I got something. So I went back to his shop, and he got them out of a little box and put them in my ear. Just one over here on this side. And I have adjustments here. One for this and one for the phone. When the phone rings, you flop this lever here, and then you can hear better. But anyhow, all of a sudden, I'm hearing birds sing.
He's never ever heard birds.
And grandkids that come along. I could hear grandkids. playing and giggling. Yeah, it was pretty amazing.
Kind of nice when there's noise that you don't want to hear. He just turns
Just
it off.
take it out.
Yeah.
And she knows. She says every time I say, huh? She says, do you have your hearing aids on? I said, yeah, but I got them off.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk right now. Or whatever.
Hmm?
What'd she say? I can't hear you talking. I'm going to turn this up till it blasts my eardrum if you don't tell me. Let me see here. Hey, it's not even on. I mean, it's not even. There it goes. I had it way off for the airplane.
Mm.
Noisy. You ever notice looking out the window that the plane is stopped in midair? You never thought about that? You must not like looking out the window. You probably rather look at your girlfriend instead of out there. I love to look down there and see if that what lake that is and that road here and
Should figure out where you
those
are.
houses and stuff. So when you can feel him put the brakes on, then you look out. We're gonna be going that way pretty soon, 'cause that plane can't fly by itself. The pilots last night come out of there, little runts, both little bitty guys. But we told them they did a good job. Oh, thank you. I was trying to think of a long time ago the companies used to make sure that there was one atheist and one Christian.
Pilot?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, that's what I couldn't come up with the answer to that question. But I think it's like if the plane goes down, I don't know the rest.
Sounds
wonder
like the beginning of a
I
joke.
wonder if,
Yeah,
if the
I'm
Christian
sure it
guy
is.
can talk to the Lord on the way down, maybe, and save this plane. And the other guy couldn't do anything about it. He was an atheist, asking a little bit too late to go to heaven. My brother Stanley, he bought the first car, but he didn't have no driver's license. Yeah, he came up with his 36 Buick. And he drove it for just a little while and he decided to get a Chevy. So he got rid of the Buick and bought a Chevy. This time, whoever went with him, because he didn't have a driver's license, had to sit in the middle seat with your leg hooked around the gear shift. It come up out of the floor, so you had to hold it in gear. Sit there, either hold it like this or wrap this around it and hold it in high gear so we could get down the road. Everywhere else it jumps out. So you're going 40 miles an hour, wide open probably. But you have to get it down slow enough now to get it back in gear. Miserable. He didn't have a license, so he went ahead and drove it anyhow. But whenever he said, I'm going to go so-and-such, you better go with me. Cop might catch me. I said, well, if he catches you, what are you going to do? Beg him to let you go down the road without your driver's license? But anyhow, nothing happened. We got away with it. Every Friday, we'd get to go to the movies. We'd all, Doug and me and Albert Lee and Stanley, would go down to the movies. So when we get there, we get in line to buy a ticket so we can go into the movies. So Stanley says, he's standing there a little while looking around. You guys, I didn't cash my check yet. I don't have any money. And he did that so many times we wanted to pound him. So we'd have to pay his way in. He'd never pay us back. When I worked for him, he would always ask her, she'd always wonder, when are we going to get paid for working for Stanley? Because he was the contractor. And he used my dad's contractor's license. So we were known as Loftis Construction. I still have 3 or 4 of them shirts. You want one?
Sure.
I'll mail you one. Has a eagle, but you can't hardly make out what it is. People look up at you. What does that say? I said, Loftis Construction. Can't you read? No, but can you hear? I mean, at least I'm talking.
How did you get into going in parades?
Parades, well, that was natural. Every time I'm walking down the street, people are watching me.
Oh my gosh.
Look at that nut, they would say. And I looked, and I never saw no nuts.
The first parade you were in, did you ride your bicycle?
Well, I rode my bicycle from where we lived on Hilltop Drive all the way down to Mission Bay. And that's where we went riding bicycles when you guys came over one time. And I rode my bicycle a long ways and back home. Where you been? I've been riding my bike. Usually I take another guy with me. Joe Leonard was my favorite buddy. I'm sitting there on the curb. Of course, when the bus comes up there, they pull in like this, so they could get back out in the traffic easy. So that makes it real easy to get a hold of the fender well right there, and away he goes, and away I go with him up these hills. And all these kids are looking. They're all looking out at this guy hanging on the side of this bus. And the bus driver could see it, all these mirrors, but what could he do about it? Nothing. I'd hang on to the ice cream trucks and anything that was slowing down or stopped at a light and I needed help to get up that hill. That's what I'm going to do, grab a hold of that baby.
Did they ever turn real fast and throw you off?
No, he didn't want to. He'd kill me, then I'd have to beat him up. No, they never got out and said, get off this bus or whatever, because if I ever seen him coming out, I'm going that way.
Yeah, how's he going to catch
And
you? You're
I'll
on a
catch the
bike.
next guy. I rode that bike all the way from where we lived at 33rd and Market Street in San Diego. So I had to drive all the way to 12th Street is where I went to grammar school. And then I even went to San Diego High School in the 10th grade. And that's what I did there too. But whenever I had a bike big enough, I got a Swin. I got it for Christmas. I kept it for quite a while. I patched it up and made a hot rod out of it. Cut the seat post off, or took the seat off, and made another little pad that goes on the back fender. But the back fender came off with the front of a Swin. If you'll ever notice, it got that little curve on the fender. So I'd take that part and put it to the back, because it had a little, what they call sissy bar sticking out there so you wouldn't slide off.
Mm-hmm.
But I did all these tricks. My buddy come over one day, said, hey, you want to go downtown with me? I said, yeah, what are we going to do? I'll show you, come on. So I rode all the way down there. We both live out in the country a little bit. So Joe Leonard was his name. We'd go down there in town, and what he did was delivering Western Unions, that kind of stuff. And so he had to deliver these from one business in town to another one, and I'm trying to follow him, and he's trying to get over there quick enough to deliver his goods and go somewhere else. He's going down between this row of cars like the motorcycle guys do today. Wham, bam, bam, against these cars because they won't let him through, hitting them. He had a basket on the front, big old basket. They do that. That's the way they did it. They had all of the messages down in there. Had to be delivered. So I'd follow him. He'd throw some at me. You take that way and get him, and I'll go this way and go get him. But he went down there ahead of me one time, and he was banging this cage against these two cars sitting there, just barely moving, and they were not letting him get by for some reason. The traffic was there, and he didn't fit. So he got in there the best he could, and I'm right behind him, and he's going bam, bam, bam. And I'm thinking he's going to get somebody after us here in a minute. I'm going to get out of here. They didn't catch us. One time they did. We were walking around where we lived. He's just walking down the street. I think we were going to his girlfriend's house. I forgot. When we are walking down the street, it's trash day. And this is kind of getting a little bit on the dark side of town. So he walks along, and all of a sudden he just reached out and started kicking these trash cans and just knocking the lids off and spreading stuff from here to here to here. So we took off running, man. He went that way and I went that way. And a guy come out of his house, and me being the slowest runner, he couldn't catch Leonard, but he could catch me. He takes me by the nape of my ears and made me go in the house. And he says, "You realize what you're doing out there?" I said, "Yeah." But it wasn't me. It was that other guy that came by. He just kicked your cans over and took off running. So I thought, man, I better get out of here too, or else I'm going to get in some trouble. Well, the guy didn't do anything or nothing like that, but I forgot I think he made me go out there and kind of pick up some of it, but I didn't want to, so I took off. And he didn't chase me because I think he had his pajamas on or something, I don't know. We used to go swimming at a truck company. Right across the street there is a big water tank that feeds all these people around that area. So we'd get in there, drop our drawers, of course, and jump in the water. And one day, us guys were swimming around in there, and I heard some guys walking up the hill a little bit. I said, "Man, there's somebody coming." It was the people that maintained that water. "What in the world are you guys doing in there?" He's talking through the fence because we had to climb over, but he had a key. "Well, we thought we'd take a little bath or to have a little swim or something." "Well, get out of there, and if you ever come in here again, I'm going to call the police for you." So I didn't go back over there. What I did one time was when we lived at 33rd, Mom and Annabelle, you remember her? They went to town. They left me at the house. See, I was in junior high school. But I went down to the mailbox to get some mail. It was across the street and down the street a little ways, and that's where our mailbox was. So I go down there and stop, got off my bike, checked the mailbox. Before I could get out of there was a dog laying pretty close to me. When he woke up, man, I'm scared of this dog. I'm trying to get out of there. I didn't get out before he put a scar right here on this leg. Right here on this calf. There was 2 bites in the same place. I left my bicycle right there. The person that owned the dog came out and seen what was happening, boy, and I was bleeding like crazy. He says, "I'm gonna call the police." I said, "Why? I didn't do nothing." "No, I want them to come and get you and take you and have your leg fixed." So we went down to the San Diego Police Department, down the same street. But the funny part about it was when the policeman was driving me down Market Street. So I'm riding in the back seat with these 2 policemen. And so at the stop sign where we both had to stop, the police, Mom and Annabelle was going this way, evidently back home. And I'm sitting in the back seat of the back police car, and they're going this way. So when we both get to go this way, and they came in this way, I waved at them.
From the back of a police car.
To let them know that I was going to go. Well, I couldn't tell them what I was doing in there until they finally took me. I think they'd come back and got me. But boy, when they saw me in the police car,
You got a lot of tickets, though, in your lifetime.
Yeah.
How many tickets did you have when you were 21?
35.
35?
Yes.
I remember one time they put me in jail. It was because me and another car were racing down the main street. I had my 50 Oldsmobile, and the guy I was racing was driving a brand new 55 Chevy Bel Air Sport Coupe. Nice car. But this old Oldsmobile of mine didn't let him get by. So we were racing each other, And I didn't even know the guy, but he become a real good friend of mine. The cop that got me one time when I was coming back from your house before we were married, nobody liked him. He was a mean dude. So they brought me into the jailhouse and told the judge. The judge was there for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe he worked there all day. But anyhow, we went in there and I told him what was going on. And he said, well, I can't just let you go down the street, messing up things and racing. And so, but I'm going to charge you $20. I said, where am I going to get $20? And he said, well, I would suggest you go somewhere and get some. Get into jail, sat down, and I called my boss that I was working for, John Atwell. I told him the phone number because I knew it. So he called down there and said, the guy Farrell Loftis is on, you know him? Yeah, I know him. Well, he's in jail. He wants you to bring him $20 to pay the fine. I said, oh, okay. But he was there in 5 minutes. So I stayed in the prison for about 5 minutes. Some people trying to get me to write is it a biography when you write something about yourself? About how many times I almost got killed. I was riding in this cage on the end of a crane, and I go down and hook up forms that we were pouring concrete down around those forms. And so the people came down from L.A. that were big shots in the American Concrete Pipe Company. So my job was to get in that bosun chair, and the crane picks me right up. When I give him this, he picks me up, and I go up there and do whatever you have to do, hook these things. I had to get out on the top of the forms and undo all of those latches, and then I can come back over there and hook to these two places where they pick up this 10-foot diameter pipe. One per semi is all you can carry. So I'm over there working on this thing, and I hooked it up. So I reached down like this to hook my belt on. And when I did, I reached up here to hold on for a second till I get this belt connected. Whenever I did that, he thought I meant
He thought you were doing thumbs
let
up.
it go. Buddy, he pulled back on the handle, and that thing didn't move 1 inch. It just broke. Snap. And I'm going around hanging on to my weak hand, left-handed, swinging out over the world of sea, swinging back and forth that big. I'm airborne. I'm hanging on to this one cable by the the hair on his neck or something. One of the guys that came up from the L.A. to see this happen said, hey, why didn't you fasten the safety belt? I said, you want to do this or you want me to do this? And my boss said, hey, Farrell, take it easy, take it easy. Those guys are the owners and the managers and all that stuff. I can't help it. They almost got me killed just now. They got me down. And I got in the car and come home. So anyhow, they went back home, and I showed up the next day for work. Am I still working there? Yeah, get out there and go to work. I said, okay. Woo. Of course, I had a lot of chances to get drowned. But Uncle Brooks was usually there because we swim in a pool called Joyland was the name of the place. Had a little restaurant in there and had swimming pools right there. So that's how I went down for the third time. My hand was in the air. Is anybody going to pay any attention to me? And then I felt a hand grab my one arm and pulled me out of the pool and laid me down and choked the water out of me. I tried to get over and up on the edge, but it was too far to reach. Lucky he was standing around and seen me having a little trouble with the swimming, so he dragged me out. My cousin Doug even shot at me one time with a bow and arrow. Stanley and him were buddies, and I was only by myself at that day. I was playing on the other side of the river, and these guys come up, saw me down there doing something, so all of a sudden, boing, a arrow hit me right in the hip right here. And I started crying, of course, hollering at Mom. They shot me. Yeah, with the bow and arrow. Well, you guys get over here. You know, she broke it up.
It's stuck. It's stuck in you.
Yeah, it went right in this hip right here. It was a kid's size. We didn't know how to shoot a big bow, but the one where my 33 Chevy, you heard about the motor that started by remote. One of the guys helping me tune it. He said, well, it's time to pour some gas in it and see if it's going to run. I said, well, I don't have any gas. So I reached over and got a can and felt like it might have some in it. So I turned it up. Sure enough, it just dribbled a little bit and then it quit. So it says, reach in and turn the key on. I got the starter out here. He was on one side and I was kind of right in front of this 33 Chevy, no radiator. The bumpers were off. I was standing real close to this fan going around. Well, when he hit that remote, that thing lit up, and somebody had been messing with the carburetor, I guess, because it was on high speed. So that thing started, man, and that fan come at me and chewed my belly all up, going this way, clockwise. That's important. And I had poked a big hole in my shoulder right here. I'm hanging on for dear life, because if I had let go of the car, I probably would have went underneath it.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to do that. So I just hung on and prayed and forgot. It didn't take me to pray a little prayer. All of a sudden, the car quit running. And that was a miracle right there. Because if I'd have went 6 feet further, I'd have been in the pile of rocks and that big old growth of cactus that she has right there. When the car stopped, the guy that was helping me from this side and come up to me, see how I was, and I could not move. This thing here was tied to that fan. He grabs at my shirt and starts pulling it apart so I can get out of there. He was mad at me for getting that black rubber off of the tire on his new bumper. I said, you can wipe the thing off, at least you're alive. And I'm standing there bawling my eyes out, thanking God for another miracle, one after another. That's why people think, why don't you write a book about this? Miracles, I call them miracles. Fire, I'm standing right in the middle of the fire. When the fire came and went through our yard, I was out there trying to get some water on Papa's sheds right there next door, because we could see the fire coming down the hill. I'm fighting this fire back and forth, and then when I couldn't see anymore, with the smoke and fire and heat was getting all over me, in my eyes I couldn't see it, so I hollered at Bud, Papa, I can't see what I'm doing over here. I've got to leave. So I prayed to the good Lord again. I said, I need help, Lord. I need some help. I can't get this. I can't see what I'm doing. So sure enough, I begged God to blow the wind out of my face so I could see what I was doing. Instantly, Bryce, the wind shifted and went this way. And now I can see. Man, my wooden fence going across there was on fire. The firewood pile back there behind the fence was on fire. Bud's buildings right in front of me that I was trying to save, they caught on fire. And she took you guys down the hill. You remember that time?
It was Aaron and Brandon.
I should write these things down because somebody's going to want to know how in the world you lived this long with all of those accidents that happened to you. But it's been a good life. I'm looking for the last day of my life on earth, though, is what I'm looking for. You ever thought about it that way? Your last day on earth? I hope I'm here long enough to remember it. Now what? What are we going to eat?